Whoa, crikey! Didn't see you there. Come take a look at this one. Yeah, come in nice and close. That's good, that's good. Now you see this vine here. That's called the climbing rata, also known as the Metrosideros fulgen. It's one of 6 types of rata vine in a family of 11 different types of rata. 4 of them, I believe, being types of trees, and 1 of them being a type of shrub. When this type of vine starts to bloom, it has these bright orange and red flowers, and they bloom in late summer all the way through to winter. And this provides nectar for different types of birds and insects in a time when not a lot of other types of flowers bloom, so it's an important part of the ecosystem. The one we've got here is actually just a juvenile. So you can see, while it's a juvenile, it grows up in a vine system like this. And it's connected by these tiny little roots that it shoots out. And then it starts to grow all the way up. It takes many years for it to get to that point. When it gets more mature, the vines down here start to die. And so it leaves back these big, thick, rope-like things that are about 10 centimeters thick. That's pretty big. And some of these leaves can even grow up to about 10 centimeters long. That's also pretty big. When it gets up and it reaches full maturity, it stops hanging on the tree like this, and it starts to blow out and hang out and up in the canopy like a big bush halfway up a tree. It's pretty interesting, I say. Yep. It prefers warm and moist locations. Kind of like the West Coast, but maybe a bit warmer, but it still seems to be doing all right down here. Yeah, it's not actually endangered as of yet, but because of in 2017, a type of infectious fungus blew over in the winds from Australia and started spreading through, and that fungus is called myrtle rust, and it's actually threatening the well-being of all species of rata, as well as manuka and another species that I can't remember the name of right now. Yeah. So the thing about manuka rust is that it's airborne, so it blows in the wind. And it starts to discolor the leaves slightly, and then it starts to grow spores out of the leaves, and they're kind of like little warts in the leaves. And when those warts show up, it's too late. That means they're already spreading spores. The reason why it's such a threat is because of historically they've been really, really difficult to control, and they're just really hard to control, and there's not much you can do to stop them. So that's why, even though rata is still somewhat thriving, it's considered highly at risk because of that introduction. And even if we manage to completely eradicate myrtle rust from New Zealand, there's still a chance that it could just blow over again from Australia or find some other way to get back into the country. I got a lot here. Yeah, so there's no known way to eradicate it. The Maori people used the vines of different types of rata to tie up their structures, like their fences and their houses, and they also use the sap as a sort of medicine for coughs and sore eyes. I'm not sure how they did that, but I'd love to find out. And that's all I really have to say on the climbing rata, but isn't it pretty? Now, whoa, is that a kiwi nest? I better consult my friend and leading expert on kiwis, who's also a kiwi himself, Matthew Edwards. On to you, Matt.
Fergie, not only I'm a kiwi, but I'm also going to talk about the great spotted kiwi.
Where is he? I heard the taste good.
No, Fergie, they're endangered. We don't eat kiwis here. They may be the least endangered kiwis, but they are still declining. Back in 2015, estimated about 14,800 kiwis of them, but it's expected to drop to to 2,428 by 2030. These Kiwis love to live in a beech forest or the alpine. So they love to be living either in the tussock grass or muddy, hollow, like rotten logs and trees. They can be living from sea to up to 1,500 meters in elevation, but generally just between 700 and 1,100. So they like to living in places like Arthur's Pass or the Paparoa Ranges. The male is generally 45 centimeters tall and the female is only 50. It's only like 5 more centimeters taller. That's like about that size. And their bills range between 9 to 12 centimeters and weight is like 1.2 to 2.6 for the males and then the 1.5 to the 3.5 for the female. So obviously the females are a decent amount bigger than the males, but that's because they have to push a ginormous egg out of them, which is about 15% their body weight. That's a lot, if you ask me. Stuff that.
Wow.
I'm take the male's job anytime, which is to just sit once the egg is out. So it's just to sit on that egg and hibernate it until it's ready to hatch. These eggs can either be white or they can actually be a pale green color. Once the kiwi is born, it is pretty much thrusted into the outside, into nature, ready to do its own job and start its own life. These kiwis expected 30 to 40 years of age, life lived, and years to live of life to survive from predators. Now, if I can get these pages unstuck because it's so wet out here. The main species that attacks these animals, like stoats, ferrets, possums, cats and dogs, all your general stuff for kiwis. That's about usual. And same with eating, they love wekas and, not wekas, oh, jeepers, wetas and all those little bugs and insects. But when the male is like detecting the little one, it will set these like really strong odor smells and droppings around the area to try and scare off the other creatures that are trying to get to it. It'll make itself big and fierce and try and scare them away, although it's just a kiwi. We kiwis are kind of helpless. These kiwis will also let off their little calls to its either partner or other kiwi peers in the area to try and help each other and band together like all typical kiwi blokes do. 9 out of 20 of their eggs will actually die before they get hatched in the wild. And up to 60% of those will actually reach to the breeding age of kiwis. That's like not many if you ask me. It's kind of sad. These kiwis, when they get to their sexual maturity, these males only take up to 18 months, while the females take up to 3 years until they can start laying eggs. Now, I ain't no Australian, but I'm definitely not eating those eggs.
I am.